Hi, everyone, and welcome to our new local lens. I want to thank everyone for joining us today. And today we have exciting guest. We're talking neighborhood resilience, and we're joined by the president of the Wildland Urban Interface Community Action Team, otherwise known as WUI-CAT, Troy. And Troy will be walking us through how his community council created their neighborhood resilience committee and how they are all have come together to create the WUI-CAT team, which is helping neighbors interface on wildfire emergency response. Before we get started, I do just really quickly want to share our group agreements as always. As a reminder, during this meeting, the local lens sessions are a space for learning and conversation among members of community councils and the public. The goal of the sessions is to dive deep into various governmental structures within the municipality of Anchorage. By joining, we all agree to treat each other with respect, recognize our neighborhood's unique qualities, and allow everyone a chance to participate. We also have some Zoom logistics. Please stay muted unless you are called on to ask a question. Message the chat with any questions or raise your hand since we have a small group today. Please try to keep your questions on topic. Please be concise so that we can get to everyone's questions, and please be considerate of the time. We'll do our best to answer as many questions as possible, but please be mindful of the time constraints. We also encourage everyone to reach out to the presenters directly after the sessions for further discussions. And as always, please invite these presenters to your community council where they can give similar presentations or other interesting conversations on similar topics to your local council and constituents. And Troy Weiss, if you wouldn't mind sharing with us your presentation.
You bet. Can you see this?
Yes, I can see it.
Okay. So my name's Troy Weiss. This is a presentation about how community councils can establish a resiliency committee and what could be set up in doing that. I'm in the Basher Community Council. Basically, what we did was very much copy what Rabbit Creek Community Council had done, and Kai Holland fed me a whole lot of information that we used to kind of set up the resiliency committee for Basher. So this is something that John Glover recommended, was how to set up this framework, and saying that if we can get a lot more community councils to have resiliency committees, it's a good way to communicate with residents and get information shared across entire Anchorage, or especially in the WUI or wildland urban interface areas where wildfires are a major issue. So the agenda for this presentation is it has the community council, what is a resiliency committee. It has information about emergency evacuation plans, how to drill on that plan, communication methods between residents, and other potential functions of the Community Resiliency Committee. So a resiliency committee is a group of people within the community council who have a common interest of developing and sharing information for how the community can survive a disaster. We've focused on wildfires, but a lot of the tools and techniques that are set up would apply to earthquakes or to windstorms or other types of natural disasters that we have here in Alaska. So it is sanctioned through the Basher Community Council, but it was basically one person taking a lot of interest and kind of run with it. And as soon as we mentioned we needed help, we had 12 or 13 other volunteers helping us. So it has been very nice to work with the community council, and it's sanctioned through the community council. A big part of what the resiliency committee did was put together an emergency evacuation plan. And emergency evacuation plan is probably specific to the community. And for us up in Basher or Stuckagon Heights, we have a single egress, and that's Campbell Airstrip Road. And so it was important to have an evacuation plan just because that's the only way of egress, and sharing information, kind of a playbook for the residents of here's what's going on, what's the fire department doing, what are police doing, what are tools for you to stay up to date on what's the status of the plan. And one of the handouts for this presentation is a copy of version 8 of the Stuckagon Heights Emergency Evacuation Plan. Version 8 obviously says it's pretty a fluid document, and it gets changed as tools change or the community or technology changes. And so it's something you got to communicate fairly frequently among residents in case there are changes. So the essential pieces of the emergency evacuation plan include how can residents find resources, things like getting ready, set, go, or making to go bags, or putting smart 911, which is the main way for us to receive information about events going on near us, or Pulse Point, which is a very detailed tool that the fire department uses for sharing information about emergencies. And it was kind of focused on having emergency responders near people with an incident. So it's a whole lot more detail than I need. For us, Smart 911 is kind of our main tool. During disasters, it lets people know in our plan, it describes, okay, the fire department is responsible for putting out the fire. APD will be responsible for, well, actually, fire department's responsible for coordinating the response, kind of initial response and some incident command. Actually, the Department of Forestry in our area, which has Chugach National Park, is responsible for putting out the fire. And APD would be responsible for doing evacuations for our area. So those were all things that we did in putting together our emergency response plan. It was basically talking to the captain of our local fire station and talking through these issues and writing them down. So we have how will residents receive information? For us, that's smart 911. APD may be going around with bullhorns to do evacuation communications. How should residents evacuate? For us, it's just one method of leaving, and that is going out Campbell Airstrip Road. And where should residents muster after they evacuate? Uh, the fire department and the community wildfire protection plans, they do specify for different areas and different stations where these muster areas. So for us, it's the Mountain City Church parking lot, which is a large parking lot where people can gather and emergency responders can keep residents informed of when it's safe to go home. They're also maybe doing some making sure everybody's evacuated at that site. And so it's nice to share that site within your plan. So those are the key components that we have within our emergency evacuation plan. Once again, our emergency evacuation plan was developed by going down to Station 14, where our local captain and I kind of talked through these issues and wrote them down. We've done drills. So the next part talks about fire drills of that plan. And there's a picture here of us gathering. We did the first drill at that Mountain City Community Church Of course, it was in July and it was raining and it was really nasty out there. But what we've done since then is kind of changed to doing it at the local fire station. So we do an annual drill. We had ours in the middle of June for 2025. We did make changes to the response plan as a result of that drill, but our drill is not necessarily, it's more of a tabletop or talk through the plan and allow the community to ask questions and have the fire department and the wildfire resource experts there to answer those questions for the community. It worked great. John Glover from the wildfire division chief was at our December, or no, I'm saying our June uh, meeting, and it went very well. So for us, drills is just a annual conversation with the community at the local fire station. Um, so how to communicate methods between residents. So for us, we have a single egress, and that's Campbell Airstrip Road. As we had talked through our plan, and as the with the drills, it became one thing that was a shock to people was when they close Campbell Airstrip Road, nobody comes up. So if you're at work or you're off the mountain and Campbell Airstrip Road comes up, you are reliant on neighbors or getting a hold of somebody. Uh, the police may or may not be up there if it's not safe to send people up. And so you may need to get a hold of neighbors. And for us, we're on larger lots. Neighbors really don't know each other. And what we set up was a phone tree. So we broke uh, our whole area into sections, and people of the resiliency committee are kind of the lead for a section, and they keep track of this contact list. Our phone tree is not something that person A calls person B and real structured. It's basically a list of all the people that live right around you. It's confidential to those people living around you, and it could be used for everything from borrowing a cup of sugar to calling to get help evacuating your dog or taking care of horses that in an evacuation, or um, somebody's doing something strange outside your house. It is not for solicitation. It's confidential to just the residents of that area and shared among those residents in that area. So that's our phone tree. But it became very important. How do residents communicate among themselves? And in these larger lots, we really didn't know who our neighbors were or how to get a hold of them. So that was a benefit that came out of having this emergency evacuation plan and a resiliency committee at the Basher Community Council. Other potential functions of the resiliency committee, coordinating projects, uh, is we looked at bringing a chipper in and helping people remove fuel off of their property. Uh, we talked about buying a chipper, and that really wasn't something we wanted to do. So we looked at having uh, tree contractors come in, or Gauge Tree Service or Aurora. But basically, we identified options for people to use for getting work done to remove fuel off of their properties. And we gave them contacts within the community that could do that. We do have a newsletter we share that has focused on how to do inventory of your house, or how to do what FireWise looks like, or lessons from the California fires on how to harden your house to a wildfire. So we've shared that kind of stuff in kind of a bi-monthly newsletter. Um, and then once again, as item C is sharing the load, getting as many people as you can get, or people are interested, get them to help be on the community resiliency committee. And it certainly helps sharing that load. And another thing that we've done within Stuckey Heights is we've made a Google group. We used to use Nextdoor, but Nextdoor kind of became very commercial, and we lost control of who was in it. But we have a Google group where people can basically send the name of the Google group at googlegroups.com. They can send an email to that address, and it's shared to all the members of the Google group. We use it after windstorms to say there's a tree down blocking the road, or if the roads aren't safe to go down in the winter. But this Google group has been, it's getting more and more use. We have about 225 residents up in Stuckey Heights, and I think there's about 79 members on this Google group. It's getting used more and more, and it hadn't had any of the problems that we've had with the Nextdoor app. And so these are ideas that we've had from our resiliency committee. Um, if you have a group and they discuss kind of common concerns for your community council, I'm sure you'll have different things, but that kind of summarizes what we have and how we set up a resiliency committee for Basher. And it's very similar to what Rabbit Creek had done. So thank you very much. Again, my name's Troy Weiss. I'm happy to answer any questions. Either call me, or when Kai Holland got elected to office, I stepped in as the WUI-CAT president. So WUI-CAT is Wildland Urban Interface Community Action Team President, and you can send me emails there. We also have a website for WUI-CAT, which has the meetings and project statuses and information of interest to members. And so I'm happy to answer any questions that you might have.
Thanks, Troy. I really appreciate that presentation. And David, you missed the beginning, but we are at this point open to any questions if you have them. And I have some that I can kick us off with. David, if you want to throw your questions in the chat or raise your hand if you have them, you're welcome to it. But Troy, I wanted to ask you, what are the origins of WUI-CAT in Anchorage, and how did that project kind of come together?
So WUI-CAT started from the Rabbit Creek Community Council. Basically, Kai Holland it's a group of resiliency committee representatives from the different community councils. Um, and within that group, we basically share resources, advocate for projects, get updates from wildfire professionals, and um, so that is kind of the origin of that. When Kai was doing monthly meetings, and we still have monthly meetings that we attend via Zoom meeting, and so that was kind of the origin.
Oh, got it. Okay. And so is that councils coming together? Do you guys have other groups that participate as part of WUI-CAT, or is it kind of a consortium of councils?
It's more of a consortium of community councils.
Hmm.
It has some regular attendees that are those wildfire professionals.
Hmm.
John Glover, Stephanie Dufik, Jen Smith, kind of regular attendees and primary presenters on different topics. Tonight,
Got it.
they're going to talk about insurance and
Oh.
how somebody's been doing a lot of insurance on what your wildfire insurance coverage look like.
Oh, that's really cool. And do you know which councils generally attend, or if a council was like interested in attending, or if somebody was generally interested in attending, how would they go about that?
So I don't know. Can you see this Word document?
Yeah, yeah, I can see it.
Okay, so this is Rabbit Creek attends, Basher, South Fork, Eagle River. Halo is Hillside. Oh my goodness, I should know more about. It's basically Hillside Fire, um, Abbott Loop, Eagle River Valley.
Got it.
That's kind of the core.
Yeah. A lot of those councils that are on that like rural urban boundary.
Yes, exactly. Yep.
And it's really interesting to see um it span north to south, right? To have Eagle River and South Fork alongside Rabbit Creek and Hillside, one of the few topics I've seen where every council has really been able to be engaged and in that way on a topic.
Yeah. Yep. It's and it's open to other community councils. Uh, we did kind of explore going over other emergencies, like if readout were to explode.
Hmm.
Um, the people in this group really weren't that interested in those
Okay,
other emergencies, so it's more wildfire focused.
that makes sense. Yeah. And are you guys currently pursuing funding as part of WUI-CAT? I know the Federation is working with Basher Community Council on pursuing a federal grant under the wildfire um, grant funding that the federal government provides. But is WUI-CAT looking at pursuing anything?
Um, Stephanie Dufik with Anchorage Fire Department
Hmm.
definitely pursues grants and projects. Jen Smith has grants. And we had one of our resiliency committee members looking at a grant for a chipper project, but
Yeah,
WUI-CAT as a whole is not, we don't have any checking accounts. It's just kind of a group of volunteers uh,
got it.
trying to help each other within their own community councils.
That makes sense. That makes sense. And how long has Wooey Cat been around? Just like a year or so?
The name actually started this year. It was
Hmm.
just Rabbit Creek Community Council, and it was opened
Mm,
up to other community councils. And at the beginning, when I took it over, and it was kind of changing out of Rabbit Creek, and they said we need a name, and so that's where they came up with this Wildfire Urban Interface
that
Community
make
Action Team.
that makes sense. Well, if anybody else doesn't have any questions, oh, we got one question.
Go ahead. Um,
Uh,
Yeah, hi, this is Dave McAllister. Joined a little bit late. It was on the wrong uh, website URL, but we got there. Yeah, I have a lot of interest. I spoke with David Michael, the Rabbit Creek Community Council. I joined them for the first time. I live here in a nearby subdivision, Prater subdivision. A lot of interest in what you're doing. I'm retired BP. Um, we've been here since 2000, home here. Then spent a number of years in the Middle East. But the more importantly, would happy to help. And certainly, as you went through the list, Troy, of things you're doing, the tree contractors, the firewise hardening, the chipper. At one time, the municipality provided permits so that you could they would actually come in and burn slash piles if you weren't able to haul them out. And our property is that way. We oversee a drainage, and there's just not any realistic way of hauling the slash out. We'd like to see that possibly renewed, but anyway, no questions yet. Very interested in what you're doing. Um, we'll be staying in touch with David Michael and happy to help in any way that we can.
Sounds great. So, Dave, are you available to join that meeting? I'm getting ready to kick it off right now.
Yes, absolutely.
All right.
that's
Thank,
great.
thanks, Adriana. I appreciate
Yeah.
your helping us. And if anybody calls me, that'd be great.
Sounds good, Troy. Thank you so much for your time, and thanks, David, for joining us today. And if you want to get in touch with Troy, you can reach out to him at WUI-CAT president at gmail.com as he has posted. And thank you so much.